Hello all, Ellie here, and we're back to playing Hakuoki, the visual novel regarding the samurai. Last time we finished the prologue in chapter 1. Looks like we started off on multiple paths, and I didn't really mean to do so, but we're here at chapter 2, and we'll see where we go from here. Just gonna save just for a minute because I lost my stuff. No news of my father came forth the other day, and somber restlessness took hold of me. Originally, it seemed Hijikata granted me approval to accompany the captains on the rounds through Kyoto to search for my dad. Then he called me in. Excuse me. I saw Okita and Heisuke had been summoned along with me, and I felt a partial sense of relief. It did a little to calm my chattering nerves, and I didn't want to be in a bad spot with Hijikata. You called me? Hijikata seemed to be in a foul mood, so I decided it was best to act with tact in his presence.
お前の行動さん探しの件だがな。しばらく様子を見ようと思う。
What's happened? Why are we putting on hold? What? But why? We just started looking for him. Stopping now would surely cause any of our leads to run dry. His words stunned me. How could he back out on this? Hijikata remained deeply composed.
長州の連中が不穏な動きを見せている。本来ならお前を外に出せる時期じゃない。
Okay, but what? I'd heard how the warriors of the Choshu domain associate with the Imperial Nationalist Party. For some reason, they find foreigners repulsive, using brute force to prevent any foreign presence. All of their faith is aligned with the Emperor. The Shinsengumi, on the other hand, serve the Shogun, meaning they are directly opposed. If the Choshu is active, it can mean that my own goal is of little concern to the Shinsengumi. I might become something of a burden to them. So, are you asking me to refrain from joining the rounds until things of the Choshu domain settle? Hijikata nodded and turned towards the two men.
というわけで、今日からこいつを巡察に連れて行くのは取りやめだ。
I'm stuck back in my room.
なるほどね。だから当番の俺らが呼ばれとってわけか。
Heisuke seemed 2 steps behind Hijikata's words until this very moment where it seemed click.
でも今までだってこいつが巡察に迷惑をかけたこともないし、別にいいんじゃないかな。
Okay, so I've got at least one person in my corner, which is Heisuke, but I think whatever Hijikata says, Heisuke is going to go along with it because that's his superior officer, I guess.
そうそう、僕たちに何かあっても関わらないようにしてくれればそれでいいし、どさくさに紛れて逃げ出すこともないし。ね、
Yeah, he'll just kill me. I won't run. I knew he wasn't being serious, but I couldn't stand to keep my mouth shut. I made up my mind the minute the men of the Shinsengumi agreed to help me find my father. I made a vow to never run from the Shinsengumi for as long as they helped me find my father. My desire to find my father, wow, I'm saying the word find my father a lot, has shown no signs of slowing, even since I first arrived in Kyoto. I will keep my vow. So, please allow me to continue looking for my father? I bowed to Okita, keeping my eyes locked with his. His smirk, however, shrunk slowly as he gazed towards me, caught in between words to say.
危険を承知でついてくるって言うなら、僕の一番組に同行してくれて構わないよ。
Honestly, I feel that I should take that risk, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to find Dad.
それに、行動さんらしい人を見たっていう証言もあるしね。
I know, but if he looks anything different, then you might have a hard time.
確かにそういう証言もある。 だが危険だと分かってるところにミスミス出すこともねえだろう。分かってるのか？お前らの足を引っ張りかねねえんだぞ。
I promise I won't cause any trouble. Please. If I lose the opportunity to search for my father, then the chances of finding him will sink. I lied prostrate before him, and Hijikata simply sighed heavily.
市中を巡察する組長の指示には必ず従え。いいな。
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. I didn't know how else to show my gratitude, so I bowed deeply again.
行くか行かないかはお前が好きに判断しろ。
Alright. I had to make sure this is the best decision. There was something in his demeanor that made me unsure of my desire to leave the compound. Still, if I was with Okita or Heisuke, I'm sure I'd be safe and well protected. On the other hand, my presence could be an undue burden to them. What do? I want to search for my father, so leave and search for my father. Huh? It feels like there are more people walking around than usual. The streets of Kyoto were packed with people shuffling into the shops and businesses all over.
土方さんの反対を押し切って巡察に同行してるんだってこと忘れないでね。
Yeah, I remember. Although you teased living bejesus out of me. Sorry, I was distracted by all the people. The city is filled with so much more cheer. I guess I just couldn't help myself. Okita's eyes twinkled and he smiled voraciously, and I could sense him relax.
まあ祇園祭りも近いしね。街が浮き立ってるのは僕も否定しないけど。
Gion Festival? What's one of the red light districts in Kyoto. Oh.
でも上位派浪士たちの動きが怪しいのは本当だから。僕たちから離れて勝手に動くのだけはなしね。
Yeah, I'll watch myself. Loyalists turned to the philosophical and political leanings of those who wanted to remove foreign influences from Japan. Okay. We walked down Kyoto's largest street, alongside the First Division. No one came within a few yards of us. They stepped away the moment their eyes caught the bright blue of the Shinsengumi's jackets. I noticed this phenomenon briefly when I first joined the Shinsengumi on the rounds, but it was clear the people of Kyoto feared them. Excuse me. I paused every so often to ask some of the less intimidated passersby if they'd seen my father. I'm looking for someone. He's in his 40s and speaks with an Edo accent. He's a doctor, and he's a friendly, bald man. After a few hours of searching, I met someone who claimed to see a man matching my description.
そんな雰囲気の人ならしばらく前にそこのマス屋さんで見かけたよ。
Oh, that's positive, right? As he spoke, he pointed towards a store selling wood and charcoal. Thank you so much. Okita caught my eye and gave me a stern look. He looked as if he was going to reprimand me when...
貴様ら浪人か！手取りなら判明を答えろ！
The cry came from a Shinsengumi soldier, and Okita turned, his lips tightening into a thin line.
ああ、よりにもよってこんなところで騒ぎを起こすなんてね。
His hand dropped to his sword as he ran towards the commotion. Townsfolk shrieked and ran like leaves before a gale. Whoa! In the sudden press of fleeing citizens, I found myself pulled away from Okita. For a moment, I panicked, but I realized that perhaps it was best. If I stayed close, he would have been forced to keep attention on me. I hoped to avoid distracting him. I ended up in an alleyway? Oh, I hid in an alley to watch, and I could return to the First Division once the tension simmered.
坊ちゃん、そこの坊ちゃん、巻き込まれんよううちの店へ入りや。
Oh, somebody's being so kind enough to let me into their store and so stay out of the commotion. That's really nice of them. Huh? I paused for a moment. A strange man was inviting me into his store. Not strange on the face of it, perhaps, but I was warned many times to be on my guard. I was about to politely refuse when I realized it was the store to which the man pointed earlier. Excuse me, but is this Masu's?
へえ、そうどす。
Great! You see, I'm looking for someone and...
キエモンさん、このガキ、さっきまで新選組の沖田と一緒にいたぜ。
Okay. Huh? Oh no, I'm not of the Shinsengumi.
新選組だと逃げろ!
Oh jeez. No, it's not like that. I'm just looking for someone. Even if I've been walking with them, the reaction of every store's customers seemed excessive.
君って本当に運がないよね。ある意味こいつらも僕もだけど。
There goes any chance I could find somebody who was perhaps had seen my father. He gave a small, unconcerned shrug and leapt through the door of the shop. Masu's exploded with the clang of blades, men swearing, and scrambling across furniture. What's the meaning of this? What on earth just happened? I'm so confused. When we returned to Shinsengumi headquarters, Sanin had a number of less than pleasant words. We kneeled for some time as the colonel berated us before Okita finally spoke up.
そんなに怒ることないじゃないですか。僕たちは長州の患者を捕まえてきたわけだし。
I'm just going to do... Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. I just want to adjust some of the sound settings. Here we go. Damn it. I missed some lines. I'm sorry.
マスやキエモンと身分を偽っている人間は長州の患者である古高俊太郎だった。
Oh. Then it's good that we caught him, right? Maybe? Keimon Masu, a merchant who sells firewood and charcoal. It was actually a cover identity for Shuntaro Furutaka while operating in Kyoto. Shuntaro Furutaka is a nationalist Ronin who was a spy for the Choshu when they were banned from entering Kyoto. He was responsible for gathering weapons and information.
我々新選組はその事実を知った上で彼を泳がせていた。
Okay, so it's not good that we caught him. We just blew up something big.
その通りですけど、でも捕まえるしかない状況だったんですよ。
まあ、宗司の言う通り、ある意味では大手柄だろうな。でも古高を泳がせるために頑張ってた島田君や山崎君に悪いと思わないわけ？
The corners of Hesuke's mouth twitched into a smile, but Shimada interrupted him to continue.
東堂君のお気持ちもありがたいですが、我々のことはあまり気にしないでください。自分らも古高に対して手詰まりでしたから、沖田君たちが動いてくれて助かりましたよ。
Well, I'm glad you're saying that, but we shouldn't be too upset that we screwed up that much. But still, I think that other guy still reminds me of a character. Looks to be like a character from Naruto. Yamazaki, that was his name. Okay.
古高捕獲はすでに済まされた事柄です。その結果に不満を述べるつもりはありません。
お前ら殊勝な奴らだね。それに引き換え宗司は。
It didn't seem that Nakagura was going to let Okita get away without rubbing his mistake in his face. Both Kai Shimada and Suzumu Yamazaki serve as Shinsengumi officers and spies under Hijikata. Kai is an officer of Shinsengumi who also served as a spy. During times of peace, he serves under Shinpachi in the 2nd Division. Well, Susumu Yamasaki is a member of the watch who reports to Hijikata. He was an officer of the Shinsengumi as well as a spy. Aside from the captains who stay in the Yagi residence, they are some of the few people entrusted with the knowledge of my situation. In other words, these men are highly valued officers within the organization. Despite their resounding support, I felt a rush of guilt sweep over me, and I spoke up. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. So Moronin were causing trouble, so I tried to get out of the way. I got separated from Okita and the crowd, and I didn't go right back to him. Before I realized what was going on, someone just started shouting at me.
君への監督不行き届きは誰の責任ですか?
The blame's gonna go back to Okita because he was supposed to be the person supposed to be watching over me. He glared at me, and his eyes hard and angry, and my throat tightly clenched into dryness.
一番組組長が監視対象を見失うなど、まったく情けないこともあったものですね。
Ouch. When I'd first met him, Sanin had been nice, if a little quiet. After his injury, however, it was as if he'd become an entirely different man.
外出を許可したのは俺だ。こいつらばかり責めないでやってくれ。
You're speaking up for me? Oh wow, thanks. Sanin looked up as Hijikata walked into the room. He gave the commander a tight, wry smile, but only got a peaceful, impartial glance in return.
土方さんが来たってことは、古高の拷問も終わったのか？
ああ。風の強い日を選んで、京の都に火を放ち、あわよくば天皇を長州へ連れ出す。
Holy crap, that's big.
それが奴らの目的だ。
So we're gonna stop that plan, right? His voice was calm and measured, but we all felt the import of his words.
町に火を放つだ？長州の奴ら、頭のネジが緩んでるんじゃねえの？
Yeah, that's like massive. How can they be able to do all that? I guess they all have the manpower, but still. Oh, all the people be hurt and all the chaos.
それ単に天使様を誘拐するってことだろ？尊王とか言ってるくせにやることはめちゃくちゃだよな。
Imperialists, or imperialism, a term for the philosophical and political leanings of those who wanted to remove the shogun from the administrative power for Japan, replaced by the emperor.
何にせよ見過ごせるものではない。
奴らの会合は今夜行われる可能性が高い。お前たちも出動準備を整えておけ。
承知しました、副長。
よっしゃ、腕が鳴るぜ。
Even though each man displayed his professionalism differently, they were all clearly prepared. As I quieted down, Hijikata turned towards me as if he only had just noticed my presence.
それから行動さんの件だ。西国の者と一緒にマス屋に来たことがあるらしい。
Oh, so Dad was spotted. What?
今日で見たっていう話は本当だったってことだ。だが、それだけだ。
My father was with someone from the West. But my father went missing in Kyoto. Why would he be with someone from the West? But no one had an answer for me. Susumu Yamasaki's warrior record has been released. Okay. Preparations for the raid began immediately. Within moments, the compound was like a beehive, with soldiers and officers running back and forth. The tension felt thick enough to cut it with a knife. I found it affecting me, despite my best efforts. My encounter at Masu's created some of the recurrent headache, and I'd hoped to make up for it. Hey, can I? Oh. It became clear to me that I have very little to offer when it came to preparing for a raid. And at the end of the day, all I could do was to stay quietly to the side to avoid being a burden. Just then, I heard someone's voice call out of the blue.
動ける隊士が足りていない。近藤さんの隊は10名で動くそうだ。
俺ら土方さんの隊は24人だったか。隊士の半分が腹痛って笑え
Oh,
ねえよ。
jeez. Are they gonna have enough numbers to pull this off if people are sick and everything? Ah, that's right. There was a handful of men who were bedridden from a swift food poisoning epidemic, leaving them short-handed in battle. They planned on dividing the troops in half. Kondo's troops would go to Ikeda Inn, and Hijikata's troop will head to Shikoku Inn. Ikeda Inn is one of the several locations where the nationalist group claiming to support the emperor would gather. And with Shikoku Inn, one of the several locations where the national imperialists gathered.
そういえば、あいつらは使わないのか。夜の任務だし、うってつけだと思うんだが。
Then?
お前らが減らしたけど、まだ何人か残ってるはずだろう。
Oh, I think I know what they're talking about.
しばらく実戦から遠ざけるらしい。調整に手間取っていると聞いたが、血に触れるたび俺たちの指示も聞かずに狂われてはたまらん。
What? I swore I heard something about a reaction to blood, but this is something I was not supposed to hear. The two men hadn't realized I was listening to their conversation, but it was crucial that I don't say anything.
奴らも浮かばれねえな。戦うために選んだ道だろうに。
3、浮かばれないという表現は死んだ者に対して使うものだろう。
ああ、表向きは死んだことになってるが、本当は死んじゃいないしな。むしろ。
There is no doubt that what I was hearing was not meant for my ears. The only thing I can think of right now is zombies. Or those things that I ran into at the beginning of the game. The ones with the blood eyes and the creepy looks, and they still give me the shivers. I shoved my fingers into my ears and closed my eyes tightly. The best I could do was to make sure I didn't hear anything else.
雪村くん、こんなところで何をしているのかね。
Oh, somebody noticed me. Oh, Kondo. It's Phoenix! I'm so gonna think of it as Phoenix, right? I think it's just because of the hair. My eyes flew open to see Kondo in front of me. I just couldn't sit there. I told him the truth. How I felt so useless and left my room to find some way to help.
なるほどな。君の気持ちはよくわかる。打ち入り前で皆も高揚しているしな。
Yeah. Excited? More like bloodthirsty, to be honest.
どうかね。君も一緒に来るか。
You're allowing me to join you. Are you crazy? I thought I was supposed to be staying out of harm's way and all that jazz. What? That was not what I expected him to say. You mean go with you on a raid? I don't know what I could...
実は腹を壊して動けない大使が多くてな。人手が足りんのだ。
Yeah, I know about the food poisoning bit. I totally know about that because that's what I heard. Or wasn't supposed to hear.
伝令役になってもらえるとありがたいんだが。
Oh!
もちろん、君に無理はさせん。
That doesn't require fighting. I can do that. You raise a good point. Now that you mentioned it, I did remember hearing that Kondo's group only had 10 people in it. Well, alright, if I'll just be a messenger. His face split into a grin, and I found myself on the way to the Ikeda Inn to accompany the raid. Kondo's presence was relieving, and his good nature gave me comfort in asking him a question. Kondo? Your uniform is different than the one your other men wear. The Shinsengumi's unique light blue uniform made it so anyone in Kyoto would recognize them. However, Kondo's uniform was white, almost cream, setting him apart from his men.
これか？暗いところに押し入った時にすぐに仲間だとわかるようにな。
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so you would be able to see white uniforms a lot more easily compared to blue ones. I see. I didn't know the corpse uniform came in so many varieties. What was that? Okay. Corpse uniform 2. A white colored uniform used during the night or special occasions. The usual uniform was well-fitting, and the colors stood out, but this white uniform was more elegant. I smiled while I looked at his uniform, and I braced myself for what was to come. But my thought would be, if you're wearing white uniform and you're going to a raid and all that blood, oh my god, this could be so horrible to try to get out of the clothing. Hour of the Dog. Hour of the Dog. What is that? Approximately 8 p.m. Oh, okay. Note to self. Hour of the Dog is around 8 p.m. As we arrived in Ikeda, I was sent off on several short errands nearby. I returned to hear Nagakura talking to Ikeda.
こっちが当たりか。まさか徴収判定のすぐ裏で会合とはな。
I'd say stupid. I don't think brave.
僕は最初からこっちだと思ってたけど、奴らは今までも頻繁に池田屋を使ったし。
だからって古高が捕まった晩にわざわざ普段と同じ場所で集まるか？普通は場所を変えるだろう。常識的に考えて。
じゃあ奴らには常識がなかったんだね。実際こうして池田屋で会合してるわけだし。
Nagakura and Okida's conversation was very lighthearted, which didn't quite suit the subject matter. Perhaps the Choshu were trying to trick the Shinsengumi. I certainly wouldn't have known. Whatever the reason for their behavior, however, neither Nagakura or Ikeda seemed worried. Misuke noticed me as I approached and jogged over.
どうだった？会津藩とか諸次第の役人まだ来てなかった？
I don't think so, but what are they? Aizu Domain, one of Japan's more influential clans. They're related by blood to the Tokugawa clan and were put in charge of the office of the Kyoto Military Commissioner. And the Kyoto Judiciary Commissioner is a shogunate administrator whose role was to oversee the daimyo, settle law disputes, and supervise the city. The position was occupied by Sadaki Matsudaira during this time period. I'm doing my best to pronounce the names, but some of them are a little bit tricky, to say the least. To be honest, I didn't really see anyone nearby.
日暮れ頃にはとっくに連絡してたってのに、まだ動いてないとか何やってんだ
よ。落ち着けよ、平助。
The larger man smacked Heisuke playfully on the shoulder with a bark of laughter.
あんな奴ら役に立たねえんだから、来ても来なくても一緒だろ。
だけどさ、新八さん。俺らだけで突入とか無謀だと思わないの？
Heisuke frowned and Takeda, who was on standby behind Heisuke, nodded in agreement.
この人数で踏み込むなど、
Oh,
無謀に
you.
も程がある。ここは会津藩の援軍を待つべきかと。
武田君がそう言うなら、わかった。もう少しだけ待ってみよう。
And so we wait. But no matter how long we waited, the officials never came. Hour of the Boar, okay? The Hour of the Boar is approximately 10 p.m. So Hour of the Dog is around 8, Hour of the Boar is around 10. I looked up at the sky. The moon inched itself further across the sky since we arrived at the Ikeda Inn.
さすがに、これはちょっと遅すぎるな。
近藤さん、どうします？これでみすみす逃がしちゃったら、無様ですよ。
The chief had been quiet all this time, but when Ikeda addressed him, he finally stood up to speak.
これ以上は待てん。宗司、長倉君、東堂君、俺についてきてくれ。
And what am I to do? Stay behind, I guess? Ikeda nodded quietly but firmly.
では、私は表口を固めますから、
皆さんご存分にどうぞ。
は？武田さん来ないつもりかよ。
いいからいいから。中が暗くて間違って切られても困るし。あ、こっちが間違って切っちゃうかも。
沖田くん、それはどういうことかな？
You are such a joker and you got so much bloodlust in you, my gosh, dude.
まあまあ、突っ込むのは気心が知れた方がいいだろう。というわけだから、武田さんは外を頼むぜ。
They don't really like him
雪村
much.
君、少し池田屋から離れていてくれるか？
Yeah, I'll stay away. It's probably not best for me to go in there anyway.
ここは危険だ。老子が降りてくるかもしれん。もっとも、逃がすつもりはないがな。
Yeah, heaven forbid if one of them should come out, try to escape and get through the other guy, I could potentially get hurt, right? All right. He stood up, smiled curtly, and ran into the inn.
会津中将をわずかに老子隊、新選組。戦意のため、宿内を改める。
Lieutenant General of Aizu, a position held by the Lord of the Aizu domain, Katamori Matsudaira was appointed to it by the shogun after earning the rank of Lieutenant General of the Left Guard. His declaration was met with a cacophony of yells and screams erupting from out of the inn.
わざわざ大声で討ち入りを知らせちゃうとか、すごく近藤さんらしいよね。
いいんじゃねえの？正々堂々名乗りを上げる。それが討ち入りの定石ってもんだ。
自分をわざわざ不利な状況に追い込むのが新八さんの言う定石？
Isuke and Nakagura grinned at one another as they sauntered towards the inn.
御用改めでやる。手向かいすれば容赦なく切り捨てる。
Honestly, with the way they're drawn, it doesn't look like they're sauntering into the air, and it sounds like they're going to be charging into it. Then the battle began in earnest. The yells of men and the clang of swords filled the air, rolling out through the doors and the windows of the inn. Oh gosh. I heard feet pound upstairs, the scream of men dying, wet thud of bodies dropping to the floor.
手が足りねえ。誰が来いよ。おい、誰かいねえのか。
There's that other gentleman, but I don't think he's going to go in, and I probably need to run to Hijikata's group, right? They haven't joined in yet. Well, there was someone, but all the men who'd come with the captains ran around the back and couldn't hear Nakagura. Ikeda, on the other hand, was stationed outside to arrest anyone trying to flee the building. What should I do? The only person left to go help them was me. But even if I did, what could I do? That was when I heard Kondo. Oh geez, what happened to Soji? Nakagura called out from somewhere else in the inn. Oh jeez. Let me guess, I gotta pick between the two? Oh no! I had no desire to enter the slaughterhouse with men killing one another. Even if I did, I had no illusions about my skill with the blade. I was sure to be killed before I'd even drawn it. But I could hardly stand around doing nothing. Perhaps if I couldn't fight, I could rescue the wounded, find them, and carry them out of the inn. I made up my mind, steeled myself, and ran inside. Inside it was pitch black. The smell of blood hit me in the stomach like a fist, filling the air. There were dark lumps on the floor everywhere, bodies of fallen men. Where were Okuma and Heisuke? It had sounded like a good idea at the time, but as I looked around the charnel house, I realized there was no way I could carry two men outside. What should I do? Look for Okita, look for Heisuke, or scope things out? I'm gonna look for Okita. I decided I had to look for Ikeda. I knew I'd caused trouble for him during the noon patrols, but he never called me out for it. It seemed only fair that I tried to return the favor. Okay, that's a scream. A Ronin came out of nowhere, falling down the stairs and screaming. My kodachi was in my hand before I'd even realized I'd drawn it. Then Kondo's sword slid through his heart. Ah! I just watched a man die.
君が来たのか。他の大使は何をやってるんだ。
Well, you said you needed help, so here I am. I'm going to help Okita and maybe drag his ass out of this place. He did his best to act calmly, but I could tell my appearance had both surprised and worried him.
すまんが、掃除を見てやってくれるか。2階にいるのは掃除と老子が1人だけだ。
Sure.
掃除に限って負けはせんだろうが、敵図を追うかもしれん。敵も相当の手だれだ。
I think. Well, I should be able to. I'm the doctor's daughter, so I should know some first aid, right? Yes, sir. I nodded quickly and ran off through the carnage. He's upstairs. I took them two at a time and landed hard on the top floor. It didn't take long to spot him. Oh, hello. You're somebody new. Oh, only a few feet from me, Otaka was battling a Ronin. I felt my stomach lurch. The cold wind of steel against steel stole through the air, and their blades flashed, lines of light in the darkness.
どれほどのものかと思っていた。新選組の腕もこの程度か。
The strange Ronin's eyes narrowed, and his mouth curved into a smug smile. I'd seen Okita train with the soldiers, and his skill with the blade had been clear, but this Ronin, the way he dodged, parried, and slowly drove Okita back seemed to be almost effortless.
さて、そろそろ帰らせてもらおう。いらぬ邪魔立てするのであれば容赦せん。
The blood and violence that was choking the inn had no effect on him, it seemed. He was so peaceful, in fact. He hardly looked like he belonged in the middle of all that carnage.
悪いけど返せないんだ。僕たちの敵には死んでもらわなくちゃ。
A smile split his face for a half second, and then he launched himself at the Ronin. Their swords slammed together. To my untrained eye, it looked as though the Ronin was a self-taught swordsman. His sword moved in large, crude arcs, while Okita responded with skill and finesse. In a contest of skill, Okita would have been the clear winner, but as their blades sprang apart, it was always Okita who found himself pushed back. The Ronin's sword was heavy, but fast. It was clear that he was Okita's superior in raw power. The summer heat had turned the air thick and humid. I could barely breathe. Sweat poured down my spine and beaded on my face as quickly as I could wipe it off. I looked around the room or decided to distract the Ronin. I'm going to try to distract him. Seems like Okita could use a hand. Nearby, a bowl sat unattended on the floor. If I could use that to distract the Ronin briefly, it could give Okita the opening he needed. With every ounce of strength I had, I hurled the bowl straight at the Ronin. Almost without thinking, he turned his blade and smashed the bowl onto the floor. The moment of distraction gave Okita his opening. He leapt forward. Even caught off guard, the Ronin managed to get his blade up in time, but the blow sent him stumbling a step or two, an angry look on his face. As Okita lifted his sword towards his opponent, he whispered in a voice so only I could hear it. Oh, did I do something right?
後でいっぱい褒めてあげる。
Apparently I did. Hey! I knew now wasn't the time to bring it up, but I'm glad to have been of help. The strange Ronin's sword whipped through the air, little more than a silvery blur. Oh geez. Okita accepted the blow with the sword. However, the opponent's blow from above was too powerful. Okita stumbled ever so slightly, but the man did not miss his opportunity. Ronin's foot slammed in the center of Okita's chest. The source of his tremendous strength apparently extended to his legs as well as his sword arm. I heard a wet crunch as the kick connected, and Okita stumbled across the floor of the room. When he stopped, I saw him grip his chest and cough. Okita! I leapt across the room. Are you alright? His face was tight with pain. The most he could manage was labored gasps and wet, tearing coughs. Okita was in no condition to fight. As I struggled to move myself under his arm to lift him out, I glared at the strange Ronin.
お前も邪魔立てする気。俺の相手をするという。
I watched the tip of his blade drift up to me. With a groan of pain, Okita lifted himself up and stumbled between me and the Ronin. No, Okita, you can't. There's a good chance he had broken bones, and if he was coughing up blood, then his internal organs could be damaged as well. He could barely stand, let alone fight, and he was making no attempts in hiding it. But he stood firm.
あんたの相手は僕だよね。この子には手を出さないでくれるかな。
The Ronin sneered.
愚か。その負傷で何を。今の貴様なぞ盾の役にも立つまい。
黙れよ、うるさいな。僕は役立たずなんかじゃない。
New flecks of blood appeared as he shouted, "Stop that! You're still coughing up blood!" The Ronin regarded us with a cool, disinterested eyes for a few moments, then in one smooth motion lifted his sword and slid it into his scabbard. What?
会合が終わるとともに俺の務めも終わっている。
Okay, so you're just gonna say, I'm too powerful for you and I'm gonna bugger off, I guess?
多少は面白かったぞ、新選組。だが、あの程度の腕でいい気になるな。
His aloofness was amplified by the satisfaction he drew with his every word. He placed his foot out of the window, cackling to himself as he jumped through gracefully. Did he just run? No, he hadn't run. He was letting us go.
くそ。僕はまだ戦えるのに。
No, you can't. You need medical attention. Stop it. Let me carry you. Okita. His voice was weak. Why did you do that? Okita turned his head to look at me. You always said you'd kill me if I got in your way. So why had he protected me? He raised a shaky eyebrow.
そういえば、なんでだろう。
His words were already slurring.
僕にもよくわからないけど。でも次は、ちゃんと殺さないと。
And you're gonna collapse, right? Yep. Okita? His eyes fluttered and his body folded as he collapsed to the floor. Huh? I'd been so worried about Okita, I hadn't noticed. The sounds of screaming men and clattering swords had disappeared. Is it over?
Soji, 大丈夫か?
The moment the words were out of my mouth, I heard the sound of labored footsteps up the stairs. Finally, the sun rose from the black sky. The raid itself had lasted only 2 hours. But, for me at least, it had felt far longer. There had been 20 Imperial nationalists at the Ikeda-en. The Shinsengumi had killed 7 Ronin and injured 4 more. I learned later that with the help of the Aizu domain and the Kyoto Judiciary Commissioner, they arrested 23 people. The owner of the Ikeda Inn had also been arrested for trying to help the Choshu rebels escape. The Shinsengumi had won an incredible victory, fighting against superior numbers in an empty territory, but they paid dearly for it. Okita had taken a blow to the chest and lost consciousness. Heisuke had been cut on the forehead, and the bleeding refused to stop. Nakagura had also injured his left hand. One of the Shinsengumi soldiers lost his life at the inn's rear entrance, and 2 others were severely injured there as well. It didn't seem that likely they would survive. The Kyoto military and judiciary commissioners had also fought the Hoshu Ronin. The Kyoto military commissioner, the person holding this office, was tasked with keeping the peace in the city of Kyoto. It was occupied by one point by Katamori Matsudaira of the Aizu domain. We've been hearing that name a lot. With their successful resolution of the Battle of Ikeda Inn, the Shinsengumi had, at last, made a name for themselves. The Battle of Ikeda Inn, the incident where the Shinsengumi troops raided the Ikeda Inn to halt a plot to kidnap the emperor and burn the city of Kyoto. It looked as though the peace in Kyoto had been protected. Never could I have imagined what the ultimate result of the victory would be. And that's where we'll end it for now, and we will see you next time.